Nearly 5 years after its release, the Cayo Perico heist is still the best money grinding method in all of GTA Online, especially if you're a solo player who only has time for one heist a day, because Cayo can be done in under 50 minutes with a little bit of practice and a Sparrow helicopter at your side. But what if you want to switch things up a bit? Because let's face it, Cayo Perico, if you do it in the most meta form, well, it tends to get boring really fast. And what a lot of players don't realize is that there are entire strategies and routes throughout the Cayo Perico island that are locked out unless you pick a specific approach vehicle. So your experience in Cayo could be radically different from that of someone who only plays in the meta way to get the most amount of money in the least amount of time possible. At the end of the day, we all play GTA Online for fun, or at least we try to, right? Which is why in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some of Cayo's unexplored potential and rank every approach vehicle from worst to best so you know which one suits your needs and which ones you should just straight avoid. And we're going to start things off in the bottom tier with two of my least favorite approach vehicles. The first is the patrol boat, and this honestly isn't a bad vehicle on its own. It's just that when I play Cayo, I usually am playing solo, and so I don't really see the value in the patrol boat. To me, it feels like a Temu Longfin, a worse version of something that I'm already familiar with. And here's why. The patrol boat is slow, unbelievably so actually, as it tops out at just 36.7 miles per hour. That's absolutely pathetic when you compare it to the Longfin speedboat, which is over 3 times faster at 122 miles per hour. So if you like doing the elite challenge, say goodbye to all that extra cash, because the patrol boat absolutely at moving around the island. The only time I'd go with a patrol boat is if I'm taking the aggressive approach with a duo or trio. In that case, I'd put one of my buddies on the front turret, ram this thing ashore, and gun down all the enemies at the main dock with the onboard weaponry. But that's still ignoring the insanely lengthy setup mission that you have to do to even acquire this vehicle for your finale. First, you have to visit one of these two locations, either the Smuggler's Den or the Merryweather HQ. I was unlucky and I got the Merryweather HQ. So first, I had to spend 5 minutes gunning down a bunch of security guards while searching for 3 separate security panels. Then I had to go up here to activate the main terminal where there were even more guards. And once I'd finally opened all the sluice gates and free the boat, they then spawned 4 waves of enemy choppers on me. And to make matters worse here, all this effort is wasted if you're solo, since you can't even take advantage of those machine gun turrets. So my recommendation is just stay away from this vehicle unless you're part of a team and you're doing the Cayo Perico heist the aggressive way. Next, we've got the Annihilator Stealth Helicopter, which has the most badass name of any approach vehicle in the game, but unfortunately, this one's setup is almost as complicated as the patrol boat. Once again, you'll get one of 2 randomized locations, either the Merryweather HQ or this super yacht. If you get the super yacht, the process is very similar to the Marina investigation mission in the Dr. Dre nightlife leak. First, you board the yacht, then you kill all the guards and disable the air defenses. Once that's done, you can take off with your Annihilator. The Merryweather version of this mission also plays out the same way, except it takes place at the Merryweather HQ, and there are a couple of insurgents with heavy machine gunners up top. I highly recommend using a Sparrow for this mission, as you'll need unlimited homing missiles to deal with all the targets. Just stay out of range of the air defenses and pop off one missile after another until the landing zone is cleared. Then you can destroy the remaining AA turrets on foot using either your RPG or a railgun. Right as you're about to fly away with the Annihilator, the game will spawn multiple waves of Merryweather choppers. Don't try to kill these guys with the built-in machine guns, because it's going to take forever. Instead, as soon as you see those red enemy icons on your radar, step out and use your railgun or heavy sniper Mark II with explosive rounds to destroy them. Once you've completed the helicopter acquisition, you'll have to do phase 2 of the prep mission, which involves doing a favor for your NPC pilot. You can't pilot this helicopter by yourself, and even if you had multiple people on the team, you cannot assign a human pilot. So you need to do that pilot mission where you either go to Vinewood Hills and eliminate a bunch of loan sharks, or you go to Sandy Shores Airfield and steal a rogue for your pilot. Then in the finale, if you select the Annihilator as your approach, it gives you 2 fast rope locations, North Zone and South Zone. North Zone is located right between the airstrip and the North Dock, while the South Zone is on the east side of the main compound and is located just below the crop fields and the lighthouse area. You'll have to scope out at least one of these drop zones beforehand during your gather intel mission, otherwise you won't get them in the finale. And the drop zone you choose should be based on the type of team you're running and the loot you've scouted. If you're a solo player and there are paintings in Rubio's office, I think the Annihilate approach with the south drop zone might be just as fast as the Kasauka approach through the drainage tunnel, but if you do the same thing with the north drop zone in the Annihilator, there's a shed over there in the north docks that requires 2 people to open, so you won't be able to secure that bit of loot. And unless you have a disguise or bike nearby, it'll be very hard to get to the main compound because you'll need to make it to the side entrance somehow. And once you get there, you'll still need the gate code to make it through, either that or grappling equipment so you can jump over the walls. So when you think about it, the options for infiltration are really quite diverse if you go with the Annihilator stealth helicopter. However, the main issue with this vehicle is the fact that its prep mission is just way too tedious, and it also has 2 separate phases. Alright, moving on to the mid tier, we've got 2 vehicles that are applicable in every situation, but these are still going to require a bit more prep work than the vehicles I've got in my top tier, and the first mid tier approach vehicle on my list is the Alkonost, an absolute behemoth of an airplane. This is a high altitude supersonic bomber that will get you into Cayo Perico undetected, but the setup is once again broken down into 2 phases here, just like with the Annihilator stealth helicopter. First, you have to go to Fort Zancudo and steal the airplane. Then you have to do a favor for the pilot, which could either be the stealing of the rogue or the killing of the loan sharks. Fortunately though, the aircraft itself is extremely easy to acquire if you use this simple trick here. Right as you land, go behind the hangar where the Alkonost is being stored and flip the breaker. This turns off all the lights inside of the hangar, so if you have night vision and a suppressed weapon, you can run through all the guards, get into the control room, and hack the laptop to open the hangar gates within about 2 minutes or so. The control room is in the same location as it is for your personal hangar, so over here to the right side of the hangar doors. Then simply fly your Alkonost to Mini Madrazo's hangar in LSIA and do the second phase of the prep, which is the favor for the pilot, and now you're good to go. The Alkonost can be used to perform a halo jump in the Cayo finale, which is easily the coolest way to infiltrate the island itself, especially if you're doing it at night. And then there's another thing you should know about the Alkonost here. It's the only approach vehicle for Cayo that lets you jump to any location on the island as long as it isn't the main compound itself. If you try to halo jump into the main compound, you'll see a big red circle and the air defenses will blow you up. But anywhere else, you can just wait for the Alkonost to fly over that location like the Fortnite battle bus, and you can jump out when you're ready. It's literally a battle royale style jump, and what's even cooler about the Alkonost is that if you've got 4 people doing the Cayo Perico heist together, you can split them into teams of 2 and attack 2 different parts of the island at the same time. The plane always flies from north to south, starting at the airstrip, so what you can do is send 2 people over to the airstrip to collect all the secondary loot there, and then while you're over the main docks, you can drop the remaining 2 players. This way, all 4 of you will fill up your loot bags at the same time, and both teams should arrive at the main compound together with full bags for the elite challenge. Then the next mid-tier vehicle is the Velum, and honestly I like it a lot despite putting it in the mid-tier for my list. That's because the Velum prep mission is literally a repeat of the gather intel mission. So you get a spawn on your map, you go there, you shoot the smugglers, you steal the plane, and you deliver it to Miguel Madrazo's hangar at LSIA. That's it. Only takes about 3 minutes in total, and it's one of the easiest prep missions in the entire game, and definitely the easiest vehicle prep for Cayo Perico. However, the Velum approach has a little quirk that Rockstar doesn't mention to you, and you'll find out about that soon as you arrive at the airstrip in the finale. While the guard is patting you down, he's going to detect a weapon on you, and you'll immediately start the finale in aggressive mode. That's because you didn't purchase the weapons stash option from the support crew menu on your Kasaka's planning screen. This option will cost you $10,000, and what it's going to do is give you a little hidden stash inside of the hangar so that you can remain in stealth, walk into the hangar, and walk out with your secondary loot as well as your weapons. Without this option, you'll spawn straight into a gunfight. When would I choose the Velum then? I'd pick it if I spotted some good loot at the airstrip as well as a disguise. If I get a disguise, I can drive through the main gate with a supply truck, or I can go in through the side gate by stealing a passcode from one of the guards. It's definitely one of the easier approaches to take and is a really good option for both solo as well as squad players. Alright, now we're in the top tier, and you can already guess what we're gonna have in here. That's right, the Kasaka and the Longfin, 2 of my favorite approach vehicles and also the ones that I use the most, probably along with most players, and the reasoning is simple here. Not only are both of these vehicles incredibly fast at getting you into the island, but their prep missions are also incredibly simple. Take the Kasaka prep for example. All you have to do is teleport your own Kasaka to the Merryweather test site, park it in autopilot right above the Merryweather submarine, then you can simply swim in, grab the sonar jammer, and swim out. The only issue with the Casaca approach is that you'll have to exit the compound and go searching for your secondary loot on the main dock, which does have more guards and cameras compared to the airstrip, but if you have a duo, or if you have 2 paintings in Rubio's office, none of that really matters, because the Casaca then jumps from second place to first as you spawn right next to the drainage tunnel, allowing you to swim in and grab your primary as well as secondary in just 6 minutes total. Lastly, for my number 1 approach vehicle, I present the Longfin. I've covered this prep mission multiple times before, but again, here's how you do it. You first take your Sparrow helicopter to the police station, where you can spawn in your personal Phantom Wedge and tow that boat away. Then, once you arrive at the pier, just blow yourself up to reset the wanted level and complete the mission. If you don't have a personal Phantom Wedge, just grab one for free from the GPS coordinates that Pavel gives you. The Wedge will always be the one that's alone. The other 2 semi-trucks will spawn in a pair. Then, in the finale, always go to the airstrip first. Grab your secondary from the hangar, and when you've got a full loot bag, simply drive the Longfin to the drainage tunnel, grab your primary from the basement, and use the bike to jump off this cliff here and complete the heist. There is no faster approach vehicle for solo players, and 9 times out of 10, you won't spawn the paintings in the office, which makes the Longfin my go-to vehicle for Cayo whenever I want to make some quick cash. And that right there wraps up my personal rankings of all 6 approach vehicles for the Cayo Perico heist. Some of these, like the Longfin, are super optimal for lone wolves, while others, like the Alkonost, are better for squads. Some vehicles favor an aggressive approach, like the Velum or the patrol boat, while other vehicles, like the Casaca and Annihilator, are definitely best suited for stealth mode. So pick whatever works for you and the way you're playing the heist, because the best way to play Cayo Perico is by experimenting with different approaches, as all of them are honestly pretty viable depending on the situation. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like on this video if you found it informative, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and if you want to stay up to date with more GTA 5 online content just like this, also consider checking me out over on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. Those are the best places to get connected with me outside of YouTube. You can follow me at HazardousHDTV, specifically twitch.tv/HazardousHDTV for more GTA online money grinding live streams, and I will see you guys in the next GTA online video. Adios, amigos.